Good morning, Tahmina Khan is here with video number 2 on A-Level Mathematics Paper 1 Tricky Questions. In my first video, I cover question 1 to 10 and now I will continue from question 11. Let's see how many I can explain within 18 to 20 minutes. And before I start, I would like to remind that on the top you can see my blog address. The link of all my videos is posted up here for the easy access of my viewers. So let's start with question number 11. Okay, so question 11 is asking to find out the root of 0.0009. Because the understanding of every student is different, some people find this very tricky. The easy way to figure it out is to change this decimal into fraction. Now, if you don't know how to do that, you will see after decimal how many digits are there. 1, 2, 3, 4. So in fraction it will be 9 over 10,000. Right? If I had it here, for example, 0.09, then in fraction it will be 9 over 100. So it depends how many digits you have after decimal. Accordingly, you put zeros here. Right? So now I have changed this decimal into fraction. And the question which is given to you in paper 1 always have such numbers which change into perfect square. So now root 9 is 3 and root 10,000 is 100. So now this is very easy to figure out in decimal. Now those who have trouble, decimal is here. When there is no decimal mentioned in the number, it is on the rightmost. So now divided by 100 mean this decimal will jump 2 places to the left. 1, 2. So that's why it is 0.03. Now next question. Next question is saying you have to find out the root of 34,700 using the information given to you. Since it is paper 1, calculator is not allowed. So now we will see how this information helps us to find out the root of 34,700. So the first step is that you change this question, this root number, into this form, right? So let's see what it will be after changing. Okay, so 34,700 when I change into 3.47, which is here, so 3.47 multiplied by 10,000 will be equals to this. You see how did I get it? Actually decimal is here. I want to bring it here. So there are how many digits if decimal comes here? 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's why I'm multiplying it by 10,000. Now let's change the same question into this form. Now if I bring decimal here, then after decimal there will be 3 digits. So it means 34.7 will be multiplied by 1000. So now we will see if we have changed these into this form, then how will it help us? From the basic algebra, we know when there are two numbers multiplying in the root, we can write them separately like this. Agreed? Now root 34.7 is given to you in the question, which is equals to 5.891. Fine. But root 1000 we don't know. So this help is not sufficient to figure out the answer of this. So let's come here now. Root 3.47 is equals to 1.863. It is given in the question here. You can see on the top here. Right? So instead of this, you can write 1.863. And root of 10,000 equals to 100. Because there are 4 zeros. When it will come out of the root, it will be 100. So now, both these are easy to figure out. And we can simply multiply by 100. It will be 186.3. So it means this hint was sufficient to figure out the answer of this. I hope it makes sense to you. Let's go to the question number 13. Now this question is like 90% of the students find difficult to handle, particularly part 2 of it. So let's see why it is so difficult. Okay. So you have been given in the question 2 numbers and their prime factors are given to you here, right? So let's see what is part 1. Part 1 is saying find out root of 324. Now 324 is already given in the prime factor form, and we can see there is a pair of 2 and pair of 3 square. So whenever we are finding root, if numbers are given, or in simple way I can say, if prime factors are given with the even power, so it's very easy to find out the root of such numbers, because in the root the powers will reduce to half. So half of 2 is 1, so it will be 2, and half of 4 is 2, so it will be 3 square. Now those who are not getting it, for example, simply what does it mean? That 2 square means 2 times 2. Sorry, my writing is a little weird here, but anyway. And 3 power 4 means 3 into 3 into 3 into 3. So when you're finding root, from the pair you take one number out. So from here 1 2 is coming out, from here 1 3 is coming out, and from here another 3 is coming out. So this is how you find out the root of 324. Let's see part B, which is mostly a tricky part for most of the student. Okay, so question is saying 168 multiplied by n is a multiple of 324, and you have to find the smallest value of n. Okay, so the meaning of the question is, multiple of 324 means simply that you write down the table of 324, and then 168 multiplied by n will be one of the answer of that. Now if you do trial and error method, it will be very difficult to figure it out. So the technique to handle is, you have to find out the LCM of 168 and 324, and then you have to divide it by the prime factor of 168. This is the formula, or you can say the conclusion to figure it out very quickly. I'm repeating, you have to find out the LCM of 168 and 324 and then divide it by the prime factor of this. Now in this question, the prime factors of both the numbers are already given to you, right? So if I go back up here, I have shown in my video 1 how to find the LCM of the index number. So what is the LCM of 168 and 324 if I see here? In LCM we take highest power. So if you see these two, 2 power 5 is highest. If you see these two, 3 power 4 is highest. And the one which is not common, we also write it down. So my LCM of these two numbers will be 2 power 5 into 3 power 4 into 7. And this is what question was saying, the formula. Write down the LCM of 168 and 324. So I have written here, right? 2 power 5 into 3 power 4 into 7. And then divided by the prime factor of 168. So I have written the prime factor as it is. Do not write down here the multiplication form, the one answer. It will simply waste your time, because in this way it is easy to cancel out numbers. So after writing it down, then simply do cancellation the way you do. So 3 power 3 is 27. So your value of n, so you can say the smallest value of n is equals to 27. Now if you want to check on the calculator, I mean just for yourself right now, in exam you don't have time. So you do 168 multiplied by 27 and divided by 324, and you will see you will get an integer, which means the remainder is 0. So it will prove that the answer you get from here is a multiple of it, right? Let's go to the next question. Now in this question, the prime factor of two numbers are given to you. You can see here 198 and 90. Prime factors are given to you. At times you have to find it out, and you know how to find out the prime factors. You remember that formula of LCM when we draw lines here? So anyway, so these two prime factors are given to you, and question is saying, using these results, find out the smallest value of k such that after multiplication with 198, the number become a perfect square. Now we know in perfect square, we get the pairs. Right now if I see 198 here, the pair of 3 is fine because 3 and 3, so it's mean pair is here. But if I just look at 2, it's single. Either it is 2 power 1 or 2 power 4 or 2 power 6, so that I have pair of number. Similarly 11, I don't have a pair of 11, it's just 11 power 1. So smallest number you can take to make it a perfect square, it means I need one more 2, then it will become 2 square, and I need one more 11, then it will become 11 square. So what is missing? 2 and 11. Let's see here. So sorry, I erased it and I forgot to write here. So let me write down 9 here. Okay, so 198 multiplied by k, and 198 is given to you here. So I told you that I need one more 2, then it will become 2 square, and I need one more 11, then it will become 11 square. And why do we need? Because we know in perfect square we always have pair of numbers, right? So what is extra I need? 2 and 11, which means 22. So k should be 22, right? So after that, if you see, if you multiply by 2 and 11, so you will get this number. So from 2 square you will get 2, from 3 square you will get 3 because it is in the root, and 11 square 11. So if you multiply all these numbers, you will get 66. So basically what is 66? If I square 66, what answer I will get? Okay, so I am showing you here that if you take a square of 66, it will be equals to 198 multiplied by 22. You can see here. You don't need to do all this in the exam. Examiner is only asking what is the smallest value of k. Mean what is the number which you will multiply by 198 so that it become a perfect square. I hope it makes sense to you. Let's go to the next question. This is again very important question, and like I said earlier, I will explain 2 or 3 more concepts with the help of same question, because rather than writing 2 or 3 different questions, I pick up a question with the help of which I can explain the rest of the concept attached to it. So let's just start with this simple one. Okay, so in the rectangle, the length is given to you, but it is corrected to the nearest centimeter. It means in actual measurement it was not 12, but it was rounded off to 12. So when this number come corrected to the nearest centimeter, it means he is talking about unit, 1 unit. So 1 unit mean you will divide 1 by 2. Answer is 0.5. So it means if you add and subtract 0.5 and 12, you will get the limits. So question is saying what is the upper bound for the length of the rectangle? So upper bound mean upper limit. So you are adding 0.5 and 12. Now here I would like to say one thing. For example, question says the length of the rectangle is, for example, 500 centimeter corrected to the nearest 10 centimeter. I'm repeating. If question says the length of the table is, for example, 500 meter, which is corrected to nearest 10 centimeter, then you will divide this by 2. So whatever is given to you corrected to, you will divide it by 2. The answer you will get, that answer you add and subtract to get the limits. Okay, upper bound or lower bound. So anyway, we got the length, upper bound of the rectangle. Now question is saying the width of the rectangle is 7 centimeter. Correct to the nearest centimeter. Again, nearest centimeter, it means just 1 unit. So again, if I divide 1 by 2, the answer will be 0.5. So to get the limits, I just need to add and subtract 0.5 in 7. So question is saying find the smallest possible perimeter of the rectangle. Now we know if this is the rectangle and length is 12 and width is 7. So to find the upper limit and lower limit, we need to add and subtract 0.5 here, add and subtract 0.5 here. Since question is saying find the smallest perimeter, it means I need smallest length and smallest width. So I will subtract 0.5 from each. So it will be 11.5 and 6.5. And according to the formula of perimeter, you add length and width. and then multiply by 2. So my perimeter is 36 centimeter. Now for the same concept, I will now take a tricky question where students usually get confused. Okay, let's see this question. It is exactly the same concept. A man runs 182 meter, correct to the nearest meter. So again, 1 unit he is talking about. Nearest meter means 1 unit. So 1 divided by 2 is 0.5. So to find out the limits of this, upper and lower limit, you will add and subtract 0.5 in it. And then he's saying, a man runs this meter correct to the nearest meter in 37 seconds, correct to the nearest second. So time is also given correct to the nearest second. So again, nearest second mean 1 unit. So you will divide 1 by 2 and then answer is 0.5, which you will add and subtract in it to get the limits. So let me just explain this part, then I will come to the question. Okay, so according to this, my distance is 182 and time is 37 seconds. And both are given to the correct to the nearest meter and correct to the nearest second. So that's why I will add and subtract 0.5 to get the lower limit and upper limit. So when you subtract 0.5 from it, you get 181.5. When you add 0.5 in it, you get 182.5. Similarly here, when you subtract 0.5, you get 36.5. And when you add 0.5, you get 37.5. So this is upper limit. Now what was the question? So these are the information I have gathered from the question. Okay, so it is saying, between what limit must the average speed lie in meter per second? So we know that speed is actually, average speed is distance divided by time. Now this is a fraction. And you know from fraction that, okay, just a minute. If you have to find out the limits between which speed lies, it means you have to find out the lowest limit and the greatest limit. So these are called the limits. Okay, speed of the limits of the speed. Okay, so now if it is saying distance over time, so lower limit, how can I make this whole value small? If I write very small value in denominator, numerator, and big value in denominator, then my overall answer will be small. The very basic rule of fraction which we have learned in junior classes. Now if I want this answer big, because this whole answer together will give me speed, right? So if I want this answer big, which is my upper limit, I want big number here and a small number here. Does this make sense? So I'm repeating, for lower limit, distance should be small, time should be big. Then according to the fraction or common sense, a small number divided by big number will give me small answer. And big number divided by small number will give me big answer. So now once I have decided this, I'm just picking up the values. For the distance, the upper limit was 182.5 and lower is 181.5. So you can see here, I'm simply substituting the values from there, right? If I try to capture it, it will get very small, but still at least you can see it in one go. So big, upper limit, distance big, so 182.5, and time is small, 36.5. So this is how I will substitute and then divide. So my lower limit of the speed is 4.84 meter per second and upper limit is 5 meter per second square. So with this I will finish my second video, and in my third video I will start from question number 16. Thank you very much for watching the video. If you liked it, please press the like button, subscribe button, and do share it with your friends. I hope others will also learn something from it, maybe just one question which help them getting 1 mark. At times 1 mark also make a big difference. Bye bye. Allah Hafiz.